Hey guys, my name's Kaylin Juliana Nickel. I'm at Kaylin Juliana on Instagram. I'm a photographer from Central California and I've been working in the industry since early 2012. I'm super passionate about people and stories and I want to help you learn how to tell your story well, whether this is just a hobby or whether this is your dream career. I want to help you notice the way you see the world, cultivate that vision, and harness it to create tangible memories you can cherish always. So people always ask me, how do you shoot the pictures that you share on Instagram? Do you use a professional camera for those? And my response often surprises them because while I do share some of my professional DSLR work on Instagram, most of my feed is shot only on my iPhone. So the truth is, and you might have heard this before, but the best camera is the one that you have with you. There have been so many moments where something is happening and I want to capture it, but I won't have my professional camera with me. I can just whip out my phone and capture the moment just as well. And that is a huge, huge benefit of the age we live in of mobile photography because we all have a camera in our back pocket. And I want to help you utilize this untapped potential to be able to capture and share moments of daily life all around you in an artistic and aesthetically pleasing way. So there's a lot more to the game of Instagram than meets the eye, but today we're going to dive into the heart of it, visual beauty and how you can create content that you love and that others are drawn to. Okay, so let's dive right in. So let's talk about vision. Vision is how you see what you see. Your voice is unique and your perspective is your own, and everyone has a different way of telling a story. No one has the same vision, just as no one has the same fingerprint. You and I could shoot the same thing and end up with totally different results because we have different ways of telling stories. So this is what creates such fascinating diversity, forward thinking, and growth in a community of creatives. The merging of different perspectives, visions, and voices. This is what it all boils down to. Who are you? What do you love? And what do you see? We want to see that in your work. So now moving on to the more technical side of things, second to vision would be light. Light is the most important thing in a photograph. A photograph by definition is a record of light. To be in love with the art of photography is to be in love with light. Personally, I am obsessed with light, and I think you have to be a photographer of any kind. I think ultimately it's about wonder, and it's about seeing the world around you in a new and fascinating way. Quality of light matters, and natural light is the purest quality. Now, natural light reaches its peak moments during sunrise and sunset. This is also known as golden hour. This is a great time to be shooting because the light and the shadows are both very soft and you can get great detail and lens flare in your photographs. It just automatically makes everything look better. If you're not shooting during golden hour, it's good to look for open shade with a lot of even lighting, or you can be experimental and play with harsh light and shadows. It all depends on your style. Check out a few examples of some photos I shot with my iPhone during the last few hours of the day. In this photograph, I was looking for an interplay between the light and the shadows. I wanted to get something that had a lot of contrast, and I wanted the light to hit on her face. So I was looking at the way that the sun was coming across the buildings and the way that the shadow fell on that door, and I positioned her in the middle so that the sunlight could fall on her face and the shadows could fall behind her. Moving on to another technical aspect of photography, let's talk a little bit about something called composition. Composition is basically just paying attention to what's in your frame. It's about being intentional with what you place in the photo and where you place it. What do you want people to see? What do you want them to notice? What do you want people to be drawn to when they first look at your image? That's what you want to be thinking about when you're creating a photograph. So something practical you can do is use the space around you to create natural framing, whether that's shooting through a fence or shooting through leaves or even using a wall, for example. These are things that you can add to your photo to create a more interesting composition. Another thing you want to consider is called the rule of thirds. If you imagine drawing 2 vertical and 2 horizontal lines through your image, placing the subject where those lines intersect creates movement, focus, and interest in your images. Now, this doesn't mean that you can never frame a subject front and center, but it's just another tool that allows you to create diversified compositions. This includes horizons, so consider placing the horizon line along the top half or the bottom half of your photograph rather than straight through the middle. Negative space is another tool you can utilize powerfully to draw attention to your subject and to free up the space around it for your brain to focus on what's really important. In this photograph, I wanted to use the lines of the stairway to draw the eye upwards. So I had her in the middle of the frame, and I wanted her to look up, and as the light fell on her face, it automatically draws your eye upwards and creates a curiosity to know what's above her and what she's looking at. I loved the texture of the wall beside her and the interesting architecture around her, and I wanted to utilize that space. Let's move on to the actual shooting part of the photography process. So when you're shooting still life, this isn't a huge factor, but when you're shooting portraits, the social and relational aspect of photography is huge because your subject has to get to know, like, and trust you to feel comfortable in front of the camera. Let them know that it's okay to feel awkward. Everyone feels awkward in front of a camera, and just be natural around them. Create a conversation, make them laugh, tell jokes, ask them about themselves. Do whatever you can to just make them feel at ease and comfortable as you shoot with them. Something that I do that works really well is I tell people to fake laugh. They do it and then they laugh at themselves because it's just funny and awkward. So what you want to do is tell them to fake laugh, then wait for that laugh until afterwards when the real laugh comes, and then it turns into a really awesome, candid moment, and you can really capture that person caught off guard. Do everything that you can to really create a connection and a friendship there. So when you're shooting, you want to be observant. You want to be a student of the world around you. Always be thinking like an artist. Be thinking about what you're seeing and how that will portray in your images. You want to get up close, you want to get far away, you want to move to the side. Utilize the space around you to get creative angles, unique composition, and beautiful lighting. Those are some practical tips when it comes to shooting. Now let's move on to the editing process. After you're done, how do you really bring out the beauty of the photograph, the colors, the contrast? How do you really shape the story that you're trying to tell and set the mood of the photo? So let's look at some popular iPhone apps that I use to edit my photos and that you can use as well to really make your work stand out. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the photos that we captured on this shoot. Usually when I do a shoot with my iPhone, I'll go through and I'll favorite the ones that I like the best. And then I'll look from there and pick which ones I want to edit. So I like these. I think these portray a good use of light and shadow. So I think I want to edit this one. So what I'm going to do is go to my editing apps and I'm going to open Snapseed. This is an awesome app that I love to use. It's basically like Photoshop for your iPhone. I'm going to go and import that photo and then hit the pencil and all of my options pop up. So I'm going to do selective edit. This selects a certain portion of the photo that it affects. So as you can see, this affects the yellows up here, and I'm gonna desaturate them a little bit. I'm gonna bring it down even a little more. I'm going to brighten up her face a little bit, increase the contrast a little bit, and desaturate it a little bit. I'm going to increase the contrast of the shadows a little bit. I'm going to go over here, decrease the saturation of this section. I'm going to brighten up the door a little bit, decrease the saturation. And as you can see, it's already starting to just make it pop a little bit more. So before and after, that looks pretty good for now. I'm going to check mark. And then I'm going to go to Tune Image. I'm going to bring the ambiance down a little bit, be 25. See how that just increases the contrast a little bit. I'm going to bring the brightness down, and that looks good. I'm going to increase the details, the structure, +5. That just brings a little bit of sharpness and clarity to it. And then I'm going to go back in one more time and brighten her face again. So this is really up to you, the way that you want to do it. It's all about playing with it, seeing what you like, and figuring out your style. But as you can see, this is before and after. It just makes it pop a little bit, and it's not super over the top, but it does the job well. And then I'm gonna go over to VSCO. I use this app all the time to do my editing. I'm gonna show you how I like to do it. So I usually have a few favorites that I like to edit with, but I like to go through and see and experiment with different presets and different tones. So for this one, I think a black and white would look good. It really brings out the contrast in her face. So I'm gonna go with B1. I'm going to sharpen it a little bit. I'll bring up the structure +1. And honestly, that's pretty much all I have to do with this photo. It's all about playing with it. It's about experimenting and seeing what you like. There are other apps that are great. I like Touch Retouch, Faded, Lens Distortions, Afterlight. These are all great apps, but Snapseed and VSCO are my most common ones, and those are the ones that I'll be using the most often. So that's an example of how I would normally edit a photo. You can see the original version here, and here is the edited photo. Alright guys, that's it for today, and it is my sincerest hope that this video has helped you learn and grow in mobile photography and in your knowledge and understanding of the art of image making. It's a constant learning and growing process, and there's no replacement for simply creating. So my encouragement to you would be to take these tools now and get out there and to start shooting. So like I said at the beginning of this video, there's much more to mobile photography and to Instagram than meets the eye, and you still might have a lot of questions. How do I effectively share my photographs that I've now captured with the world? Once I take a photo, what am I supposed to write in the caption? What are hashtags and how do I use them? How can I discover more like-minded users? How can I grow my following and connect with more people through social media? Now, all of these are great questions and I've asked them myself, so make sure to connect with me here and ask those questions. I love to talk about those with you, and I'll be releasing more educational content very soon. I'd love to hear what you thought about this video, so make sure to leave feedback in the comments below, and subscribe or follow me to be updated on the newest content that I'll be rolling out in the near future. Alright guys, thanks for watching, have a great day, and go create something awesome. This is Kaylin Juliana, and I'll see you next time. Bye!